what's up everyone, it's your girl Brainy Shanae, and today I'll be sharing with you my March TBR. And I am back, and also if you're new to my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. So like I said before, I'm going to share with you my March TBR. Now, I wasn't trying to be too ambitious, but there's a lot of thick books in this pile, in this stack, but I think I'll be successful, and then who knows, I might just add a few more books to my TBR later on the month. Who knows, but we will see. So the first book that I'll be reading, which is a read-along, the Sanderson read-along, which I did announce a video along with my other co-host, which I'll leave up above so you can check that out. And first book that we're going to be reading in March is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is the Mistborn book 1. I have not read Brandon Sanderson, and I find the timing very interesting because of what Brandon Sanderson did as far as his Kickstarter. So I found that very interesting that we're starting the Sanderson read-along, and then he ends up doing this huge announcement, right, with his Kickstarter and all his stuff for it. Yeah, it's just, I think it was great timing, really. But yeah, so we're going to be reading The Final Empire for Brandon Sanderson, and it says, "The mists rule the night, the Lord Ruler owns the world. For 1,000 years the ash fell. For 1,000 years the sky slaved in misery and lived in fear. For 1,000 years the Lord Ruler reigned with absolute power and ultimate terror, divinely invincible. Every attempted revolt has failed miserably. Yet somehow hope survives. A new kind of uprising is being planned, one that depends on the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind and the courage of an unlikely heroine, a Ska Street urchin who must learn to master allomancy, the power of a Mistborn. What if the prophesied hero had failed to defeat the Dark Lord? The answer will be found in the Mistborn trilogy, a saga of surprises that begins here." So yeah, this is the first book that we're going to be reading. It's definitely thick. It's pretty much like 700 pages, but I think it's going to be very interesting, and I'm definitely excited to jump into this world. I'm also might hybrid read this book, where of course I listen to the audiobook and then read along with the physical copy. But yeah, and also I just love the cover. This is the UK covers. I thought they were stunning, so just had to get it. So this is the first book that we're reading in March. Next book that I'm reading, this is another book by Mahogany L. Browne. She had written Chlorine Sky, so I want to, read something else by her. So this next book that I'm going to be reading by Mahogany L. Browne is Vinyl Moon. Chlorine Sky, by the way, is written in verse, which this is the same as well. And I believe this is mostly dealing with one girl in particular, but I'm going to read the synopsis because I really am not clear and not sure. But it's Mahogany L. Browne, so I'm going to read it anyway. But this was a cover buy as well because I also love the cover. And then if you just take the dust jacket off, it looks like this. But let me go ahead and read the synopsis so myself and you included can know what this story is about. So it says, "When Darius told Angel he loved her, she believed him. But weeks after the incident, Angel finds herself in Brooklyn, far from her family, Darius, and the only life she's ever known. Angel feels out of sync with the rhythms of her new neighborhood. At school, she can't shake the feeling everyone knows what happened and how it was her fault. The only place that makes sense is Miss G's HER. Her excellence is resilience and honoring everyone's roots. Class. And as Angel becomes immersed in her revolutionary literature course, the words of Black writers like Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, and Zora Neale Hurston speak to her and begins to heal the wounds of her past. Award-winning author Mahogany L. Browne weaves together prose, poems, and visions to tell the story of Angel, a young woman whose past was shaped by domestic violence, but whose love of language and music and the gift of community grant her the chance to find herself again." So yeah, I definitely am going to be reading this. I wanted to read this in January, but didn't get to it. So I definitely want to read this in March, but I just love the cover. It's stunning, and I want to read this by Mahogany L. Browne. So here's Vinyl Moon. Next book that I'm going to be reading and also be doing a review about is the amazing, and one of my anticipated reads of 2022, is Blood Scion by Deborah Fallier. Now, this, like I said previously from my other videos, this is giving me like Avatar type of vibes, but I'm excited for it. And for the synopsis, it says, "I am a descendant of Shango, the god of heat and fire. I am a living inferno and a dead girl walking." Right then and there, that says enough for me. I'm really excited to read this. It says, "This is what they deserve. They wanted me to be a monster. I will be the worst monster they ever created." And that's what this says right there on the back. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. This is a like I said, I'm doing a review about this, so I was able to get the copy for this, the finished copy. So I definitely will be doing a review about it, so definitely hit that notification bell so that way you won't miss any videos that I'll be doing in the future. But yeah, here is Blood Scion by Deborah Fallier. Next book that I'm going to be reading, which is one of my anticipated reads, and this is the Fairlute edition, and that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. I wanted to read this. I've heard nothing but great things about this, so I definitely want to read this myself. And so for the synopsis, it says, there are many legends about my mother. Raised on the moon, Xin Yi was unaware she was being hidden from the celestial emperor, who exiled her mother for stealing the elixir of immortality. But when her magic flares and Yuxin's existence is discovered, she is forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. Alone, powerless, and afraid, Xin Yin makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. In disguise, Lord, I can't talk right now. In disguise, she trains alongside the Emperor's son, mastering archery and magic, despite the passion which flames between them. To rescue her mother, Xin Yi embarks on a quest, confronting legendary creatures and vicious enemies. But when forbidden magic threatens the kingdom, Xin Yin must challenge the ruthless emperor, leaving her torn between losing all she loves or plunging the realm into chaos. It says, inspired by the legend of Scion, the moon goddess, this captivating debut weaves Chinese mythology into a sweeping adventure of love and family, immortals, and magic. So, yes, I definitely want to read this. It's definitely one of my anticipated reads, and I'll show you the dust jacket, the spine, and the book itself, which is white. But like I said, this is the Fairlute edition, so it's going to be a little bit different from everybody else's. But yeah, I'm all for it, and I cannot wait to read this. Next, this is a huge book. She's thick, and I'm excited to read this because I stayed away from books when it, or videos when it came to this book because I did not want to spoil myself. And that is House of Sky and Breath. This is by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Crescent City series. I read the first book, and I loved Bryce and Hunt, and I want to continue on reading this. Now, I'm not going to read the synopsis because in the first book in the synopsis, it was spoilery. Like, there were so many spoilers, you didn't even have to read the book because it pretty much told you what was going to happen. So, I'm not going to do that here with this one. I'm just not. But yeah, I definitely want to read this. I do love the cover. It even says the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. But this is a thick book. But I do know that they changed the stock of the book because in the first book, it was like Bible pages. So, it was very, very thin. But the page numbers are still the same. So, they changed the stock of this paper, of course. And that's why it's thicker than the first book. But yeah. Definitely cannot wait to read this. It looks interesting. I love the world, so why not? So this is another book that I'll be reading in March. Next book that I'll be reading, which I know everybody else have read, but I had gotten my copy late, and that is Kingdom of the Curse by Carrie Maniscalco. She has written a lot of books, and I had read Kingdom of the Wicked in 2020. So it came out in 2021. So I definitely want to read this. Even on the back, it says, in the 7 circles, there are only 3 rules. First, don't ever reveal your true fears. Second, control your desires. Third, never make a bargain involving the devil. So this is continuing the story of pretty much the twin sisters. You have Emilia, who pretty much made a deal with the devil, and then you had Victoria, who was killed. And so it says, one sister, 2 sinful princes, infinite deception with a side of revenge, welcome to hell. With the enigmatic Prince of Wrath at her side, Emilia sold her soul to become queen of the wicked and traveled to the 7 circles to fulfill her vow of avenging her beloved sister. But the first rule in the court of the wicked, trust no one, and it quickly becomes clear that nothing in hell is what it seems. Even Wrath, her one-time ally, may be keeping secrets about his true nature, but that suits Emilia just fine. She's got secrets of her own. Faced with backstabbing courtiers, princes who delight in fear, luxurious palaces, dazzling galas, and conflicting clues about what truly happened to her sister, Emilia finds herself on a mission to unlock the mysteries of her own past and uncover the answers she craves, as long as her sins don't catch up to her first. So definitely cannot wait to read this. And of course, I love this edition. It's so beautiful. I love the sprayed edges and stenciled edges. But yeah, I want to continue on the story. I know they did a release of the 3rd book, which I cannot wait to read as well. That'll be coming out later on this year. So I definitely got to get on it and read this one. So I'll be reading this in March as well. And then I have 2 more books. Hey y'all, this is Brandy Shanae from the future, and I'm just gonna let y'all know that I lied to y'all. I completely lied to y'all. Now I said that, you know, those are the last 2 books on my TBR. Well, it's not. I at least have 1 more book, and that is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. Yes. I don't know why I lied to y'all, but I'm here to set it straight. So I have 1 more book, like I said, that I'm going to be reading for March, and like I said, that is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I'm going to be reading this because I am part of a read along with Erica from The Broken Spine, and I'm excited. In the first book, Rin had made a big decision and made some choices that she made that will be pretty much affecting her for the rest of her life. So we're going to continue on with that, with this war, which is pretty much going to be the Poppy War, right? So I'm very interested in reading this, but I just wanted to make that crystal clear that, yeah, I lied to y'all earlier, and I'm so sorry. I hope y'all forgive me. But yeah, please continue on with this video. This one book right here is Don't Cry For Me. This is by Daniel Black. He had done a review with Kelly on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, this was my book of the month pick for February, so let me go ahead and read this in March. But this book, like the story, I find it very fascinating. Pretty much a dad is dying, and he's writing these stories to his son, and, you know, to explain to him, you know, how he was raised and stuff like that, and his way of thinking about things, and how he was not open-minded about things, and, you know, he says sorry to his son and all that. So I find this going to be very interesting. I know on Book of the Month, the only content warning it had was sexual assault. So hopefully I like this. I haven't really seen a lot of people read this book, but yeah. Also, I was thinking about doing a single review about this book, but let me know down below in the comments if you think I should do that. I know I did for my other book of the month that I chose was Yinka, Where's Your Husband? I did my own review about it, so maybe I'll do my own review about this book. But let me know down in the comments if you think I should do one single review just based on this book alone. But yeah, definitely look forward to reading this. So here we go, Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. And then lastly, I wanted to read this because not only I had this on my shelf, so I'm trying to read a lot of my backlist, but also the second book and the cover was released. So I want to read 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This book sounds very fascinating. On the back it says, a princess in exile, a shape-shifting dragon, 6 enchanted cranes, and an unspeakable curse. It will take more than magic to find their way home. And of course, I love this cover so much. But in the synopsis, it says Shiri Anima, the only princess of Kiata, has a secret forbidden magic runs in her veins. And on the morning of her betrothal ceremony, Shiri loses control. At first, her mistake seems like a stroke of luck, forestalling the wedding she never wanted, but it also catches the attention of Rakama, her stepmother. A sorceress in her own right, Rakama banishes the young princess, turning her brothers into cranes, and warning Shiri that she must speak of it to no one, for with every word that escapes her lips, one of her brothers will die. Penniless, voiceless, and alone, Shiri searches for her brothers and uncovers a dark conspiracy to seize the throne. Only Shiri can set the kingdom to rights, but to do so, she must place her trust in a paper bird, a mercurial dragon, and the very boy she fought so hard not to marry. And she must embrace the magic she's been taught all her life to contain, no matter what it costs. So, yeah. Definitely cannot wait to read this. This is my first book that I'll be reading by Elizabeth Lim. So I definitely want to get into this world and know more about it. And then hopefully I might even pick up her other 2 books, which was Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk. So yeah, but definitely cannot wait to read this. But that is it. These are all the books that I'll be reading in March. Who knows, that I might even add a few more to my TBR. I guess you'll have to find out when I do my mid-month wrap up for March. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys, and please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.